Good afternoon and welcome to City Hall Live. This is the special Tourism Santa Fe edition where we get to talk about all the exciting things across the city that make it not only the best place in the world to visit, but the best place in the world to live. We're getting closer and closer to the summer season, despite the trick Mother Nature's playing on us today that you can see behind me. The sun's coming out, the weather's been warm, and the festivals and the exhibitions and everything else is kicking into full gear. If you don't believe me, you can go to www.santafe.org and check out our calendar. You'll see just this weekend there's more than you can possibly do, just happening this third weekend in May. Today on our program, we're going to talk about the exciting new Georgia O'Keeffe exhibit, O'Keeffe's Far Wide Texas, that just opened. We're going to talk to the Santa Fe Chamber Music Festival, and we're going to talk to the Santa Fe Art Trifecta, three major art festivals that happen the first week in July, the first 10 days in July. With us right now is Carolyn Kastner. Carolyn is the curator at the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum, and she has curated this O'Keeffe's Far Wide Texas exhibit. If you haven't been yet, you need to go. It is a once-in-a-lifetime, literally once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see rare watercolors that O'Keeffe produced early in her career. Watercolors, due to their sensitivity to light and the elements, really can only be shown on occasion. So you've got between now and October to go and see these treasures. Carolyn, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So tell us how this exhibit came together and what people will see when they go to the O'Keeffe.
Well, we have this amazing collection of art, and among the first treasures in the collection were 15 watercolors that were gifted to the museum on its opening, and they were gifted to the museum by the Georgia O'Keeffe Foundation. And the amazing thing about that is that the foundation represented Georgia O'Keeffe's estate. So at the end of her life, she had in her own possession most of the watercolors that she created between 1916 and 1918 when she was a professor of art in Texas. So they're very important to her. They were her treasures. But more than that, once we opened them up and looked at them, we found out that they weren't faded in any way, so they're beautiful watercolors, perhaps the most abstract work she ever created, again in her life, and that these were treasures that we needed to learn how to exhibit and protect. But along the way, we also had always the goal of putting as many of these together as we could, because it shows this amazing part of her life.
I'm sure most people don't realize that O'Keeffe had this West Texas life experience in Canyon, which is just a little bit south of Amarillo and the Lubbock area, West Texas. It's one thing that this Wisconsin girl went all the way out to New York City and then found her way to Santa Fe, but also West Texas. So did she go there to take that professor job?
She did, and it's an amazing story. She had been educated at Columbia University at the Art Institute. At the University of Virginia, she had been amassing this education to become a professor of art. And in fact, one of the things that brings great joy to everybody, I think, that enters this, it's not just the watercolors. We also have about 20 photographs of her. Again, they came from her collection. She had kept these little snapshots her entire life. And in those snapshots are an O'Keeffe that nobody can imagine, because once she became the icon that people do recognize, it's as though she wasn't born and aged into that. She was just born the icon of O'Keeffe, and of course that's not true. So in those photographs, you see a young woman in her 20s that was out driving, investigating this beautiful site, Palo Duro Canyon. One of the watercolors that's in the show demonstrates the power of that, a couple of oil paintings as well. But also is this collection of friends that she was hiking and camping with. She was very vigorous. She had been hiking and camping pretty much all of her life. So above those photographs in the museum, I found a quote that I just love. So she's writing to Alfred Stieglitz, the most important dealer, who's already looking at her artwork, and she says, "It's pretty certain that I'm going to stay here now unless they fire me." Mm-hmm. And she had committed herself to being an educator, and then of course 2 years later, after Stieglitz invited her, she was in New York working full-time as an artist. And from there, you pick up a story that often Texas then becomes the prelude to that. But in fact, those 2 years was a moment in her life where she was putting together the incredible power that fired a 60-year career as an artist. Her abstraction, her drawing practice were all parts of her daily life already when she came to West Texas. So the will to make an art career was already present in this young woman who wasn't yet 30.
So when we go to the exhibit, we're so used to seeing these defining Southwest canvases that O'Keeffe's known around the world for, and people from around the world come to Santa Fe to go to your museum and to enjoy them. What can we see? Well, first of all, when we look at these watercolors through that lens, they might look older and earlier. But I understand that these works in their own time were well received and something of a sensation?
Absolutely, and they were exhibited by Stieglitz in New York City. On the gravity of this work, he put together her first show in 1917 in New York City. And of course, that's the third part, her drawing practice, her abstraction, but her relationship with Stieglitz was growing over this same period. She had met him in New York, but they had a correspondence that was pretty regular by the fall of 1916, which was her first semester teaching there. And so these works were shockingly abstract. And if you look at the images, you can recognize things that were still very important by the mid-20th century. Ideas about landscape and the sky and the horizon line, about things appearing and disappearing. She writes about it as well, that she was up and on the land before sunrise to watch the light change, not just to capture a sunrise, but to understand how does that sunrise become the spectacular moment that it is.
Mm. So people who love her later more iconic works that we see reproduced so frequently, they'll be able to trace the origins of that approach. Color and light, line, landscape, abstraction, it's all present in these early works that we have this rare opportunity to see.
It is, and another part that's singular are her studies, her nude studies of herself. So she was without the benefit of what she had at school, which are models, and so she would sit in front of the mirror, and there are also watercolors that are studies of her own body. And so what you find that crosses the landscape, the architecture, the natural environment, and the nudes are the colors. And the colors of red are electrifying to her at that moment. And she writes about that. And Stieglitz, in turn, is giving her new access to better watercolors. And so the vibrancy of these images is the same palette, no matter what it is she's looking at. So our catalog has some of that in it, and I'm thinking of this sunrise when you see it. And this is a catalog that was created by Radius Books here in Santa Fe, and each of the pages is a singular work of art. So as you go through the catalog, you're looking at individual works, and they're opposite the title. So it's as if it's an artist's book. And we have not placed a lot of work in front of this, simply our director's introduction. There's a wonderful essay at the back in this beautiful pocket that Radius Books created. So this was also a really fun project for us. And just to look at the front, which has one of the nudes on it, but if you take the dust jacket off, it's also stunningly beautiful. Look at this abstraction on the inside cover. And this is the product of a press that's here that has a national reputation. And so for David Chickie, publisher at Radius Press, he immediately saw the opportunity to create a catalog that would make the work look as fresh as it was when she created it. They are famous, as you know, for their artist books. So when he took this proposal to his board, one of his board members said, "You know she's dead." But the idea that David saw immediately was to house this in a structure that would evoke the immediacy of the watercolors. So there are 46 images in here. Most of them are the full size of the image. So you mentioned how fragile they are. So the works collected in this book put them all together that they can be reviewed again and again over time.
Another special opportunity associated with this show, and I was so excited to find that they were actual size, that what
Yes.
people are seeing in here is the same size and shape and ratio
Yes.
that you'd see right at the show.
Yes.
So you've really got a chance to enjoy the artworks for perpetuity.
Absolutely.
Are there any special talks or events or other things associated with this show that people might want to know about between now and October?
Yes, all summer long, in fact, there will be programs going on. And Alex Gregory, who's curator at the Amarillo Art Museum, has been tremendously generous to us, not only in the museum lending works to us. We have several loans from the Museum of Modern Art, from many museums across the country, but Amarillo is, of course, very close to this place, and they still hold her as one of the local treasures. So Alex will be here this summer talking about her work, where she lived, how she lived, and these are experiences that I've enjoyed when I visited Canyon, that people there know her, remember her, and her story is still alive. So Alex Gregory, a curator at the museum there, has made it his business to know where she lived and where that was in location to the college and to other things that were important in her life during that period. She didn't have a car, but she walked everywhere. And so he's going to be here. Amy von Lentel, who wrote the beautiful essay that brings O'Keeffe alive, she read every letter that O'Keeffe wrote between 1916 and 1918. And young O'Keeffe's voice is just what you might imagine of any 20-something-year-old. Just her enthusiasm for the hiking, for the men, who she wants to kiss, who kissed her that she didn't enjoy so much. These kinds of things all come out in the letters.
Nice.
So Amy has already been here at our opening. She'll be back. So we're going to have programs like that throughout the summer. We'll have some time in the gallery on a couple of occasions where we'll look at the artwork and talk about O'Keeffe and what it means that at such an early age she was already interested in an idea that was only about 4 years old. Abstraction had this explosive capacity between 1912 and 1914, and she was working on that almost immediately here in the United States, and this work comes from 1916. So you can see the relationship. It's very avant-garde work.
Well, all of that sounds compelling to me, and of course you can go to www.o'keeffemuseum.org and check out the calendar and all the, to find out all the things that are going on, whether you live in town or visiting. Check out that calendar. You don't want to miss these events at the O'Keeffe Museum, and you certainly don't want to miss O'Keeffe's Far Wide Texas. She's really our great iconic artist of the region, and of course your museum is the first museum dedicated solely to a female artist. And we're very honored to have that here in Santa Fe, and the work that you've done in Far Wide Texas and that the O'Keeffe Museum continues to do is a tremendous benefit and source of pride for our community.
Well, and it's a source of pride to us to continue to be able to tell this story.
Well, thank you, Carolyn. Thank you for this exhibit. It was thrilling for me personally to see these watercolors and to get a copy of that catalog. And so thank you, and everybody, please go to the O'Keeffe Museum on Johnson Street. You've got till October to see O'Keeffe's Far Wide Texas. And again, these are once-in-a-lifetime watercolors, very rarely shown due to their fragile nature. So go out and take in more of O'Keeffe's beauty at the O'Keeffe Museum. The Santa Fe Margarita Trail opened on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. By now, I hope you've went ahead and got your passport at one of the 31 participating establishments or at one of our visitor centers. You get yourself a Santa Fe Margarita Trail passport, and that'll get you $1 off at all of the participating establishments on the Margarita Trail. It's been a big hit. People are very excited about it. They're filling up their passport with stamps in order to collect prizes that you get as you accumulate them. Tourism Santa Fe and City Hall Live had a chance to go to a couple of these establishments and talk with the bartenders who created signature margaritas for the trail, starting off with Pranzo, the Italian restaurant near the rail yard. And here's our discussion with Pranzo and their Margarita Trail Margarita.
My name is Evan Schultz. I'm the cocktail choreographer here at Pranzo Italian Grill. We kind of came up with that name because we're sort of making fun of the whole mixology thing by sort of flipping it on its head and having fun with it. So Pranzo Italian Grill. We've been here since 1989. We're, one of the sort of mainstays for Italian food in Santa Fe. We've been working on our cocktail list now for the last year and a half. I've been here trying to change up the cocktail list and update some things, try to do some barrel aging and do a little bit more sort of house infused stuff, something a little different, keep up to date with, cocktails around town and everything. So, Margarita Trail's been bumping. We've actually gotten a lot of love for it. I've noticed, and we've felt really good about it because our margarita, I look at people's passports and I see only one or two in front of us, so I'm like, good, it stands out. So first we're going to start with our shaker glass. What we're going to do is we're going to pull some nice basil leaves off of our plant. The prettiest ones are the ones we like to use. So we'll go ahead and snag some of these and we'll grab another nice piece for garnish. Save that for later. So we throw our basil leaves into the glass, then we're going to take a little bit of white peppercorn. Generally you want to use about 10 and some change. I sometimes get a little generous with it because I think it tastes better. We've got our muddler here. Now when we do this, I want to add a little bit of lime juice just to make the muddling a little smoother. We want to bruise up the basil, but we don't want to pulverize it. And then we just want to crack some of the pepper. So not nuts, but just a little crack. We'll give it a nice little muddle here. While that's sitting there, we can grab our glass and we want to salt the rim. A little bit of lime juice, a little bit of salt. We add ice to the glass and we hope it fits. A little bit of the Hornitos Black Barrel Rum, which is the tequila, I said rum. And we do about 1.5 ounces of the Hornitos Black Barrel Tequila, a little bit of orange liqueur, about 1/2 ounce. Lime juice, and we want to do, again, about 1/2 ounce of lime juice. I know we used a little bit in the muddling process, so just a little bit more to bring out that classic margarita flavor. So a couple dashes of fresh lime juice, and that's all this is. No mixes, no mess, just fresh lime juice and a little bit of agave nectar. We grab our shaker, make sure it's on there really good, shake it good. Give it a tap, and pour into your glass, and hopefully it fits. So for garnish, what we do is we take some fresh lime, cut it into a nice little wheel, grab our stir sticks, a little fresh basil, lime, and a little bit of white peppercorn on top. And that is your Pista Basilica Margarita.
Welcome back to City Hall Live, Tourism Santa Fe edition. That was our visit to Pranzo and their Il Pista Basilica Margarita. We took a sip, and let me tell you, it's one place on the Margarita Trail you do want to go to and check out. With us in the studio now is Steve Ovitsky, the Executive Director of the Santa Fe Chamber Music Festival. It's got a reputation around the world as one of the top chamber music festivals you can attend. The 44th season is this year from July 17th to August 22nd. More than 40 concerts held by more than 75 top musicians and ensembles. A huge season coming up. Steve, welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Great to be here.
So first of all, let's look at the big picture. More than 40 shows by 75 musicians and ensembles.
And that's within 6 weeks.
Okay.
And so some weeks we have 8 concerts in a week. Our normal schedule is a Sunday night and a Monday night, which are usually repeated, then a Tuesday noon concert, then a Wednesday night concert, a Thursday in Albuquerque, a Thursday noon concert here in St. Francis Auditorium, and sometimes a Friday contemporary music concert, then always a Saturday Baroque concert. And so you can really get 40 evening concerts in under 6 weeks. Plus we have 4 youth concerts that are Monday mornings at 10 a.m. And those are free. And the only thing that we require is that if you're an adult, you must be with a child to attend. So they're really for kids. We also have open rehearsals during the day, and those schedules are posted in the St. Francis Auditorium lobby as well as on our website. And the website is www.santafechambermusic.com.
Excellent. So the venues included are the St. Francis.
St. Francis Auditorium at the New Mexico Museum of Art.
Right.
And we do about 7 concerts at the end of our season at the Lensic.
Lensic, exactly. What are some of the highlights from the repertoire this season?
Highlights are, when you have so much.
And I'm not asking you to pick a favorite child, but
for example, opening weekend. 'Cause we're just about 2 months out from the opening of the season. We open on the 17th of July, and on the first program, Sunday and Monday, July 17 and 18, Tchaikovsky's absolutely brilliant Souvenir of Florence. It's for 6 string instruments. We have a terrific international all-star ensemble playing it. And if you don't know chamber music well, this is a great piece to start because it has all the melodic excitement and the passion of Tchaikovsky. If you know Tchaikovsky's symphonies that are a bit on the dark side, this is his remembrance of a sunny period in Florence, Italy. And so it's Russian, but it has that sunny disposition to it. And it's a great piece of virtuoso string playing. So that'll be on the opening night, as well as a Mozart string quintet, which is one of the glories of the repertoire. And then the next Sunday and Monday, Mendelssohn's Octet, which he wrote when he was about 17 years old. And it's for 2 string quartets. And we have 2 of the finest string quartets in the world performing together. The Johannes Quartet, who play with us almost every year, and a debut at the festival, the Pacifica String Quartet. And so that's going to be a truly exciting night as well. So there's plenty of opportunities to hear great music. And if you've never really been to classical music concerts, if that's something you're not sure about, the one thing about chamber music is that there's between 2 and maybe 8 people on stage. There's an intimacy, and there's a direct connection to your soul when you're in a small auditorium. St. Francis Auditorium seats about 400, and it's small enough that you can really be up with the musicians on stage, no matter where you sit in the hall. It's just fantastic. And the acoustics are wonderful. And so there's a direct connection and an intimacy that you don't get in a big auditorium, let's say 2,000 seats, the kinds of auditoriums that I worked in for many years as a symphony manager. And there's just something about chamber music that touches the heart in a very different way, and it's a great way to get started with classical music.
you make some great points there. When you attend a classical music or chamber music performance in a good venue with good acoustics, with world-class musicians, you're literally buzzing for about 3 days afterwards.
Oh, you are.
Physically and spiritually.
And for those of us who are at every concert, we're buzzing all summer from it. But what we see is that people come, visitors to Santa Fe will come and attend 3 or 4 concerts in a week. They'll come to a Monday night and then a Tuesday noon and then come to Wednesday night. And our concerts are at 6 p.m., our evening concerts, which means that if you want to go have dinner at one of our great Santa Fe restaurants, make an 8 o'clock reservation. We're usually done by 7:45.
Perfect.
And
The sun hasn't
it's
even
perfect.
gone down
The
yet.
sun hasn't gone down. We also have patrons who attend a concert, and then in the early part of the season, when the opera starts at about 8:30, they get up to the opera in time for a performance and then really fill their lives with music for those nights. So it works out great. On Saturdays, we start at 5, and it's only an hour and 10-minute concert with no intermission. So you can really get to the opera after that, or you can just go out and have a great time in downtown Santa Fe.
I'm ready for summer.
Yeah, I am too, especially with the dark weather we have today.
Yeah, we'll beat that, and we'll have that taken care of in a day. Tell me about the composer talks. In addition to the performances, there's also some educational opportunities and interactive opportunities.
Well, our educational programs in the summer are mostly our children's concerts or the youth concerts. But then the festival has a worldwide reputation for commissioning composers to write pieces especially for us. We've commissioned about 70 pieces over the last 40 years. And we're commissioning 2 to 3 every year. And this year, we have 3 new compositions, and one of them I'm really proud of, and that's Elizabeth Ogonek. When we started a string quartet young composers project about 3 years ago, Elizabeth was finishing up her studies in London. She's from Wisconsin originally. And she was one of our first young composers. Now she is one of the co-composers in residence at the Great Chicago Symphony Orchestra. And we commissioned her to write a piece, and so that will be premiered. We'll have a talk with her after the concert. It'll be at a noon concert. We'll talk with her afterwards. And then we commissioned Gideon Levinson, who's an Israeli composer, to write a piece for clarinet and string quartet. Our artistic director, Mark Nykrug, is a world-famous composer as well, and he was having a piece premiered by the Jerusalem Symphony a few years ago, and he had a chance to once again meet Gideon, and they talked about some things, and we did one of Gideon's string quartets last year, and at the same time, we commissioned him to write a new piece just for us for this year. And then the Danish composer, Paul Ruders, was commissioned to write a piece for guitar and oboe, which is kind of an odd combination,
Indeed.
but the 2 performers are Liang Wang, who's the principal oboist of the New York Philharmonic and a regular with us here at the festival, and the great American guitar player David Starobin. And it was written for David, and we're giving the world premiere this summer.
That's
Paul, unfortunately, can't be here from Denmark, but Gideon will be here from Israel, and Elizabeth will be here from Chicago.
That
And
sounds
we'll
like
have
a-
Mark Nykrug, our artistic director, will have talks with both of those composers at the time of their performances.
Well, now that sounds like a fascinating
Yeah,
performance.
it is. It
I've
really
never seen
is.
that.
Yeah.
Your artist in residence is also a big story, Peter Serkin.
Peter is one of the world's great pianists. He is the son of one of the world's great pianists, Rudolf Serkin. And Peter's brother, John, lives here in Santa Fe. And so we're thrilled that Peter will be with us for 6 concerts towards the end of the season. He'll do a solo recital. He'll play a Bach concerto for 2 pianos with his recital partner, Julius Su. And he'll play with the Dover Quartet on our last night. He'll play Dvorak's really sparkling and exciting piano quintet. And he'll play with the Orion String Quartet. He's got so many different pieces that he's playing with us this summer that anytime in the second part of August, you'll get a chance to hear Peter Serkin if you get your tickets soon enough.
That's a good point.
And some of our noon concerts are right now beginning to sell out. We're about 60% sold for the whole year.
Wow.
And it's 2 months out. So if you look at our website and see some programs you're interested in, now's a really good time to secure a good seat.
Good point, and that's Santa Fe Chamber Music
Festival.
Festival.
No, I'm sorry. We are the Santa Fe Chamber Music
Music.
Festival, but online we're santafechambermusic.com. Yeah.
And ticketing can be arranged through your site.
You can find a seat. You can choose a seat online, and or you can call our extremely helpful ticket office. You'll see the number on the website, and if you wish to call them, they will find a great seat for you and get you the best thing available. And our ticket office number is 505-982-1890.
505-982-1890. Okay.
And we have one other big event, which is right at the beginning.
Oh, of
we
course.
have our gala. It's our
Yes.
3rd music and wine gala, and it's
July 19th, I believe.
July 19th.
Yes.
It's a Tuesday night. We don't have a concert that night, so we can do a gala. And there's great music beforehand. We have a private recital just for gala attendees in St. Francis Auditorium with pianist Orion Weiss and violinist Cho Lang Lin. They'll be doing some things together and some things solo. And dinner over at La Posada in a gorgeous tent.
Nice.
And a silent auction with great wine and experiences that you can bid on silent auctions. Dinner with special wines from Ramsgate Winery and Cockerell Winery. And the owners of those 2 wineries will be at the gala as our guest vintners.
Excellent.
And so it's a great experience for food and wine lovers, and we're just producing the catalog for the silent auction, and there are some great wines that will be available, and usually at some pretty good prices. So, and all of that supports the festival's year-round education program, our music in the schools, which we do with Santa Fe Public Schools and also with the Pecos Public School and the Santa Clara Public School. So the gala supports the education programs as well as our regular festival season.
All superb news.
It's
Food,
great
wine, and
stuff.
song.
Oh,
it's Santa Fe all the way.
It sure is, and it's always a great night. And again, you can look online and find out about it, or just give us a call at our regular number. And the number I gave out before, they can connect you to our gala coordinator.
SantaFeChamberMusic.com, SantaFeChamberMusic.com. Go check it out. There's more performances than we could even begin to touch on today.
Right.
Steve, thank you for
My
being with
pleasure.
us. The Chamber Music is a huge asset. Chamber Music Festival is a huge asset to Santa Fe. And, you know, Santa Fe is primarily known, I think, as a visual arts town, but from this discussion alone, just the Chamber Music Festival alone puts us on the
Well,
map as a premier performing arts town as well.
And in the summer with us and the opera together,
And the
it is
opera.
a major international music destination.
Music to my ears, just
Great.
to hear you say that.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
My pleasure.
Appreciate your
Great to
time
see you.
today. Well, we were continuing down the Margarita Trail. After our visit to Pronzo, we went to the Low and Slow Lowrider Bar, which is a fantastic bar right inside the Hotel Chimayo. And they're decked out, of course, in lowrider regalia inside that bar. Just in time, of course, to go down the street to the New Mexico History Museum and see the lowrider, hoppers, and hot rods new car show that just opened. Northern New Mexico car culture is important to us, and no place represents it quite as well as the Low and Slow Lowrider Bar. And here's our chat with the mixologist Carla on their addition to the Santa Fe Margarita Trail.
I'm Carla Gilfillan. I'm the bar manager here at Low and Slow. One of the things that we do best at Low and Slow is taking classic cocktails and kind of reinventing them in artistic ways, much like lowriders in New Mexico take classic cars and really personalize them and turn them into something that represents their values and who they are. We have had a lot of people in tasting the margarita. Everyone's really excited about it. I think I've had several people already that have gotten their maximum 2 every day that it's been going on so far. So it's really cool to see people into it, people embracing it. The Low and Slow Lowrider Bar is in Hotel Chimayo. And one of the things we do with Hotel Chimayo is we donate 1% of our revenue every year to the Chimayo Cultural Preservation Association. So I really wanted to make a margarita that was representative of Chimayo, kind of inspired by Chimayo. So I started with Espolon Reposado tequila, which I infused with serrano peppers. So really big flavor, but not too much heat. Because of all the apricot trees that grow in the village of Chimayo, we went with an apricot liqueur instead of a traditional orange liqueur. This particular apricot liqueur is all natural. It's made pretty much just from apricots and sugar. So it's really beautiful in the margarita instead of the traditional orange. So we're gonna take that beautiful heat from the Serrano-infused Reposado tequila and balance it out with our apricot liqueur. Some fresh squeezed lime juice. It's not a real margarita without that. Our Chimayo red chili and salt rim. And shake it. And garnish it with woven candied orange peels in an homage to those weaving traditions in Chimayo.
It's that one on the left. Welcome back to City Hall Live, Special Tourism Santa Fe Edition. That was our visit to the Low and Slow Lowrider Bar. We were on the Santa Fe Margarita Trail, which is taken off like gangbusters. Everybody's in love with it. These are truly new and unique margaritas. You can get a passport at the Low and Slow Lowrider Bar, at Pronzo, or at any of the 31 establishments that are on the trail. And you can also get them at our visitor center at the Downtown Plaza, at the Rail Yard, and at the Santa Fe Community Convention Center. Well, the action continues in our summer festival season with the Santa Fe Art Trifecta, 10 days in July, July 7th to 17th. The Trifecta is really a unique opportunity to see some of the country's very best festivals, all in about a week and a half here in Santa Fe. Last year, USA Today held a month-long reader poll on the best art festival in America, and the two of the three festivals in the Trifecta were top winners. The International Folk Art Market took number one, first place, Best U.S. Art Festival, and Art Santa Fe came in number 4. So 10 days in Santa Fe, see two of the top 4 art festivals in the country. It's a tough one to beat. With us today is Ann Wrinkle, Director of External Affairs at Site Santa Fe.
Hello, John.
Good to see you, Ann. One of the 3 parts of the Trifecta is Site Santa Fe.
Yes.
And Gabe Gomez, who is a marketing and communications consultant with the International Folk Art Market. We don't have anyone here with us from Art Santa Fe, but we'll make up for that by talking about it because you Trifecta folks are united.
That's right. Part of a team.
The strength, the greater than the sum of its parts, the whole.
Exactly.
So tell us about the Trifecta, Ann. How did this come about? What unites these 3 important festivals?
Well, I think 4 years ago we started sort of a brainstorming session to market these events all together since they happen within a week of each other. And so we put our heads together and connected our resources to get the word out on a larger national scene of what's happening in Santa Fe and why people should come here to combine Art Santa Fe, the Folk Art Market, and Site Santa Fe's biennial series that opens a week later.
And do you find that visitors, I know each of these events has an international following, certainly a national and international following, even though the USA Today was just best in the US, each of these are festivals that attract people from around the world.
Yes.
Since forming the Trifecta, are you finding that it's made it convenient for visitors to come and book a 7 or 10 day stay here in Santa Fe and they attend all 3?
Well, I think it's very appealing to sort of the notion of 10 days in Santa Fe, right? So they can come on the front end for the activities that go on with the Folk Art Market and Art Santa Fe on that first weekend, the 7th through the 10th, and then they can plan their own outdoor experiences or other activities, and then stay around for the last weekend where Site does its biennial. I think it makes it more convenient, and we have a website where they can check out all the different activities of our own programming, plus links to other of our spots.
SantaFeTrifecta.com is
Yes.
the parent site for all 3,
Yes.
and then you've got your 3 individual sites.
Exactly.
So for Art Santa Fe, tell us a little bit about what they've got in store this year. I think they're focusing on some South African art, and they've got some new features that they're presenting right next door at the Santa Fe Convention Center.
Right. They're presenting Art Labs, Spotlight Artist, and Launchpad, so they'll have new focus on younger and emerging artists. They're hoping to expand and have a larger number of between 60 and 70 exhibiting galleries. And art fairs are the thing these days, so they do get a lot of international traffic. A lot of international galleries come here from Europe and Asia, and of course the South African spotlight of artists and galleries.
And I know last year was a record-setting year for Art Santa Fe, I believe, in terms of attendance and sales.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So ticketing, getting out, as with our friends from the Chamber Music Festival who were here, letting us know they were starting to sell out. It's probably a good idea it's
Get
never too
tickets in
soon to get 2
advance.
tickets. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
And Gabe, let's talk about the International Folk Art Market.
Sure.
It's the largest event of its kind. It's unique to the world. It's unique to the country. 60-plus countries. I could go on down the list with all the extraordinary bullet points, but I'll let you tell us a little bit about the festival and what's happening here in 2016.
Sure. Well, this is the 13th year for the market, and it's expanding, meaning that we've accommodated 25 more booths, so there's 57 new artists. So altogether, we have 187 artists from over 60 countries. And if you've been to the market, you'll know that we're on Museum Hill, and we've expanded the footprint a bit to include the botanical gardens, meaning that our food booths are now near the botanical gardens. So it's a much bigger, much more, it's more spacious, which is good for a lot. But also, primarily, it provides more opportunity for artists, for additional artists to come and enjoy the benefits of the market, which I think are tremendous in a variety of ways. We are back on the plaza on the 7th. We're working with Santa Fe Bandstand for our community celebration, which is on Thursday, July 7th, and that's where our artist procession will begin, and the artists will be introduced on stage, and then we will have music by Mamadou Kelly starting at 7 o'clock. So he's returning from, he's been a market artist, or a market musician, I should say, for a number of years. So we're really excited. Again, it's, we're automating in the sense of how we have a new point of sale system where our visitors can pre-register, and so it'll make the checkout process much more efficient. And again, it's bigger, and it's just more, it's bigger and better. I mean, it's a cliche, but truly, this year there are some things behind the scenes and certainly up front that will make this extraordinary again.
One of the things that excites me so much about the folk art market is you can find things for yourself or gifts that you might want to give to people, from the very affordable but all the way up to museum quality. I know some of the top designers in the world come and do shopping, annual shopping, but also anyone can go up and find something special for themselves from one of 60 countries. But a further thing that excites me about it so much that maybe not everybody's aware of is how important to the artists is this opportunity is. Some of them come from very modest means, and my understanding is they make even almost an annual salary, as it were, through this few days in Santa Fe.
That's correct. One of the interesting things I first learned when I joined the team was, many of these artists leave or come from their home countries for the first time. It's the first time on a plane. It's the first time traveling somewhere. So that's part of it, but also part of the bigger story is that artists take home 90% of their sales. What that translates into is healthcare, clinics, art supplies. I mean, the impact that we're able to see, at least 13 years in, from one market experience, not to mention multiple market experiences from artists. So it's a first-time market artist to some of our veteran artists. The impact is extraordinary. So some artists come from some fairly troubled areas from the world, and where there's poverty and displacement and all sorts of other things, and the funds that are raised or generated through the market, through 21 hours of the market, impact the rest of the year. It's extraordinary. It's an extraordinary story, and we're very proud of it. And so yes, again, for this year, because we've grown, because we've expanded, we're able to provide that impact to more people, which we're very proud of.
That's super news. It's excellent.
Yeah.
It's the kind of spirit that Santa Fe represents.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's one of those things where our collectors can come in and buy things for themselves, their homes, et cetera, to families on Sunday, for example. They can come in and really sort of enjoy. And so it's just an extraordinary, just really great experience.
And Sight is one of Santa Fe's true contemporary dynamos. You're out there out by the rail yard with a number of other marvelous contemporary galleries. You're undergoing a major renovation, and you've redefined your Biennale for this year. I'll let you tell us about all that's happening at Sight Santa Fe.
Sure. Well, in July, obviously July 16th, we open the second edition of Sightlines, New Perspectives on Art of the Americas. So several years ago, we investigated our biennial series how Sight started 20 years ago, to focus on art of the Americas. Due to our location in this part of the world, along the Pan American Highway, we decided to shift the axis from east-west to north-south. So it's a special resonance for our audiences here due to our layers of geographic and archaeological history. And so we're looking at artists from Nunavut in the north all the way to Tierra del Fuego in the south. So this year, our second edition of Sightlines is called Much Wider Than a Line, which talks about sort of indigenous people's notions of borders and boundaries, and how it's not just a line on a map, that those boundaries and borders need to be much wider than that in the relationships between different countries.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we have 35 artists in this exhibition from 16 countries and 11 new commissions. So we're gearing up to have a lot of our artists visiting here, sometimes for the first time, and also into this part of the world. And we're looking forward to a very dynamic, exciting group of artists to present to audiences here in Santa Fe.
I was so excited to see the theme of Much Wider Than a Line. I'm a little bit anti-genre, anti-border, especially when it comes to the arts. I think you could apply that to other disciplines and areas as well. But the arts is really a global family. It's pretty hard to find an artist who doesn't really see things that way.
Right.
Give us some examples of how this north-south axis, as you've defined it, and give us some examples of this interconnectedness in the Americas that maybe some of our viewers might not be aware of and that they could experience at the show.
Well, for example, Jonathan de Andrés is an artist who's from Brazil. He came to Santa Fe and spent a week here several months ago, and he was working to interview and take portraits of people here in New Mexico, in Santa Fe, who identified as mixed race. So he was using a former UNESCO study that sort of determined what racial divides and racial differences were to mean. And so now he is sort of mirroring that process back. And so it will be a wonderful, the final product will be a new commission that will have about 100 portraits of Santa Feans here in our building, and sort of has great long-lasting significance, I think, for what the meaning of identity is, our different mix of cultures here that is so unique and distinctive in this community.
That's a perfect point. You know, Santa Fe is so representative of the ability of a community to have disparate cultures come together, work out differences, and really transcend them, and at the same time preserve those unique identities, but also transcend them and exchange
and
ideas.
so visible in our community today in a way
Exactly.
that is not in many places that you've gone.
Exactly. Gabe, what else can you tell us about folk art this year in terms of attendance, and how do people? You know, I know it's a and probably the entire trifecta, it has a tendency to sell out the lodging
Yep.
and the festivals themselves. So what are some good practices for people who want to come to the trifecta, other than getting right to it right now, which is probably the big.
Transportation, for
But what are
example.
some of the tips that you would offer to our visitors on making the most of their 10 days in Santa Fe?
Plan early. You know, we do sell out. Historically, we sell out specifically for Friday and Saturday. So I would say if the intention is to come at least to the market, buy tickets. They're just a limited number. It's it's Museum Hill, so it's an enclosed space. So I would say at least for the market, it's folkartalliance.org. Buy your tickets. It's right on the homepage. And also, it's obviously a very busy time. So hotel, just do that kind of just the general bookings for, just for transportation and lodging and that sort of thing. And so we've, at least for us, we have, over 2,100 volunteers just that help it produce the event.
That's a good point.
So that's a lot of hotel rooms. That's a lot, you know what I mean? So,
Yes.
so as an aggregate for an event, it's a great deal of people. So I would say plan early, tickets, lodging, car rentals, these sorts of things. Do it now.
Good point. It's this is a popular time in Santa Fe, so to take advantage of these top U.S. art festivals and international art festivals, get on these websites and make your plans now. You'll be glad you did. Nobody who's been to these festivals is anything less than thrilled and exhilarated by the experience. So once again, your dates and website for International Folk Art Market?
Folkartalliance.org, and we begin its community celebrations July 7th and goes through the 10th, which is a Sunday.
And Anne for Site Santa Fe?
SiteSantaFe.org, and we go from July 14th through 17th in our opening celebrations and public events.
And Art Santa Fe is artsantafe.com, and it is July 7th through 10th at the Santa Fe Convention Center. Thank you, Gabe, and thank you, Ann, for coming to talk to us about the trifecta. It's an extraordinary time in Santa Fe, 10 days, and just some of the best and most cutting edge and most traditional. You go from the top contemporary to the most traditional types of arts from around the world. A unique opportunity. So thanks again for your time. We will
Thank
see
you
you
for
at your
letting us share the
festivals
news.
in a couple of months.
Thanks for having us.
Well, Trifecta is a big event in and of itself. So is the Santa Fe Chamber Music Festival that we talked about, and so are the exhibitions that are going on right now. We talked with Carolyn Kastner earlier with the Anu O'Keefe exhibit. I referenced the Lowriders, Hot Rods, and Hoppers exhibit at the New Mexico Museum of History. There's a new exhibit coming up called Fractured Faiths, opening up in just a few days at the History Museum. The Flamenco from Spain to New Mexico show continues up at the Museum of International Folk Art up on Museum Hill. That's just a taste of what's happening. It's going to be a very busy, awesome summer. And this is our events calendar, excerpting just a few of these events that you might want to note and put into your planner. But as always, you can go to www.santafe.org and hit the calendar there and check out everything that's happening at the time that you will be in Santa Fe or are thinking about it. Take a look at our events calendar. John Fines with Tourism Santa Fe, here to tell you about the many upcoming special events happening in Santa Fe this late spring and summer. Let's start off with the exhibitions that have opened recently in town. Flamenco from Spain to New Mexico, the world's most comprehensive flamenco show, continues through September at the Museum of International Folk Art up on Museum Hill. Recently opened at the George O'Keeffe Museum, O'Keeffe's Far Wide Texas, a once-in-a-generation opportunity to see early watercolors running through October. At the New Mexico Museum of History, just opened, Lowriders, Hoppers, and Hot Rods, Car Culture of Northern New Mexico, a must-see exhibit that runs through March 2017. And opening on May 22nd at the History Museum, Fractured Faiths, Spanish Judaism, the Inquisition, and New World Identities, a fascinating and greatly unknown story. You can see that through December of 2016. Coming up this June, on June 3rd through 6th, Santa Fe Cocktail Week in New Mexico Cocktails and Culture. Rave reviews and sold-out seminars were hallmarks of the inaugural year for New Mexico Cocktails and Culture. 2016 will be no different, especially with a slew of new events. Events are for hospitality professionals as well as sipping and dining enthusiasts. The Currents New Media Festival. For 2 weeks, from June 10th to June 26th, the city of Santa Fe becomes the new media capital of the planet, and the city hosts exhibitions, multimedia performances, and workshops showcasing the power of art and technology. June 22nd to 25th, Rodeo de Santa Fe at the rodeo grounds at 3237 Rodeo Road. This famed rodeo has it all, from barrel racing to bareback and bull riding, and it's been roping the hearts of cowboys and rodeo fans since it began in 1949. Also, check out the rodeo parade on Saturday, June 18th at 3 p.m. on the downtown plaza. June 25th and 26th is Santa Fe Pride. Santa Fe celebrates Gay Pride with a series of parties, dances, fundraisers, and soirees throughout the city, as well as a parade and festival that winds its way to Rail Yard Park. From July 1st to August 27th is the 60th annual Santa Fe Opera Festival season. It includes performances such as Don Giovanni, Vanessa, Capriccio, and Romeo de Juliet. Come early and enjoy the tailgate party. From July 7th to July 15th, the Santa Fe Art Trifecta. 10 days and 3 major art festivals in the summer's most diverse and exciting art event. It includes Art Santa Fe, the Santa Fe International Folk Art Market, and Site Santa Fe. 2 of these events were voted number 1 and number 4 Best U.S. Art Festival in a month-long USA Today Readers Poll last year. Santa Fe International Folk Art Market took first place and Art Santa Fe took 4th place. 10 days and you can see 2 of the top 4 festivals in the United States right here in Santa Fe. For more information on all of these events and so much more, please visit www.santafe.org. We will see you out on the trail. That's just a few of the events that we've got coming up in the next couple months here in Santa Fe. There's much, much more, so you want to go to www.santafe.org, check out that calendar section, and take a look at all that's happening here. It's hard to believe sometimes just how much goes on in Santa Fe, and you have to hit that calendar to begin to know what the landscape looks like. We've had a great time being with you today. It's so exciting to talk about these new exhibits and festivals and everything that's happening in Santa Fe. The Santa Fe Margarita Trail, don't forget, 31 participating establishments. Get yourself a passport. It gets you $1 off at each of the margarita stops on the trail, and you can get those at the establishments or at the visitor centers at the Santa Fe Community Convention Center, the Downtown Plaza, and the Rail Yard. Our thanks to Matt Ross and to producer Joe Abeta, and here in studio today, Christine and Adrian. So helpful as always. We had a blast. We will see you out on the trail.